I've gotten a lot of questions about skate sharpening and what hollow I recommend that goalies use when getting their skate sharpened. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what skate sharpening is, what hollow means, and what hollow I use, and why I use this hollow, and then some considerations to think about when you're determining what hollow you should get your skate sharpened at. So first of all, what exactly is hollow? What does that mean? If I'm getting my skate sharpened at a certain hollow, what is that? So hollow is a measurement used for skate sharpening. Another term that's used often is radius, and I don't hear that one used as much, but at a pro shop they may ask you what radius you want your skate sharpened at or what hollow. So, and all that is, a hollow or radius is the radius of the grinding wheel used to sharpen your skates. And how exactly that works isn't as important, but all you need to know is that hollow and radius are the terms used for degree of sharpness on your skates. Now, if you're looking at a skate blade straight on, so pretend you turn your skate and you're looking down your blade straight on, you would notice that your skate blade isn't a flat blade. It actually is a upside down U. You have the inside edge, you have the outside edge, and those two edges are what's contacting the ice when you're skating, and then there's a curve between the two. Now, hollow is the depth of that curve between your two inside and outside edges. So a shallower curve would be a duller skate blade, and that would be a shallower hollow, okay? And a really deep curve is a sharper skate blade. The terminology for hollow and the way that it's measured is in eighths of an inch. So the dullest blade you would get, or the dullest sharpening you would get, would be 1 inch. I haven't heard people get their skate sharpened any duller than that. And the sharpest that you could get your skate sharpened at would be 1/8 of an inch, and it's all 1/8 inch segments. Okay, so, and I haven't heard of anybody get their skate sharpened at 1/8 of an inch either. So next time you walk into a pro shop and they say, what do you get your skate sharpened at? Or what do you like your skates done at? What they're asking is, how sharp do you want your blades to be? And you would respond with a number from 1/8 of an inch to 1 inch. So let's say you get your skates sharpened at 5/8 of an inch, that's what you like. When they say, what do you want them done at? Say 5/8, and they'll be like, okay, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. Now, if you go into a pro shop and you're getting your skate sharpened and they don't ask you what you want your skates at, then that means they're just going to give you a generic skate sharpening for goalies. I'm not sure what they're going to define that as. So even if they don't ask you, I would tell them, hey, I want these done at 5/8, or I want these done at 1/2. 1/2 obviously is, for you math whizzes out there, 1/2 is 4/8, and so people just say 1/2. Okay, so what skate sharpening do I use? When I get my skate sharpened, I have true one-piece skates right now. When I get them sharpened, I get them done at 1/2, half an inch. And when I had my true two-piece skates with Bauer holders, and two-piece meaning that you have a holder and a boot. One piece just means that it's all one unit. The holder and the boot are one unit. A two-piece skate means that the holder is held on by rivets. So when I had my two-piece skates, which had a 3mm blade in them, I got them done at 3/8. Okay, so depending on the skate, your sharpening might be a little bit different. Now, why do I get them done at 1/2 right now, or why did I get them done at 1/2 or 3/8 when I had my other skates? The way that I like my skates to feel is I want them to have a ton of bite. Okay, so when I put my weight on my inside edges, I want to feel a ton of bite. I want to feel a ton of grip. I want to feel like I can push really hard with them and stop really hard. And I want to feel like when I'm in my butterfly, I can push hard one way and I can change directions. I can cut into the ice well, all that stuff. So 1/2 inch or 3/8 might sound pretty sharp traditionally for goalies. I think back in the day they used to get them done at like 1 inch. And I'm not sure what the thinking was behind that. When I was growing up, for a period of time, I had them done at 1 inch. And I think that just the thought was that, well, players get their skate sharpened a little bit sharper, so goalies should have theirs duller because they don't have to skate as much. And nowadays, I kind of think with how the game is, how lateral the game is, my opinion is that you have to have a ton of bite and a ton of grip with your skates. And I don't want to ever feel like I'm going to push and I'm going to slip, because obviously if you push and slip, if you're in your butterfly and you try to push right to left and you slip out, you're not going to be able to get over and make whatever save you need to make. So if my skates don't feel like there's a ton of bite, I feel all out of whack on the ice. That's just a feeling I need to have to feel comfortable, and that way when I'm playing games and I'm trying to focus on making saves, the skates aren't on my mind. I don't have to worry about them. Now, the downside to having super sharp skates with a lot of bite, obviously, is that it may make shuffling a little bit different. In my opinion, I don't think it really affects your ability to shuffle. I think once you switch from a duller sharpening to a sharper degree of sharpness, that shuffling is going to feel weird at first, because you have more resistance keeping that blade from scraping across the top of the ice. But it won't take super long to get used to shuffling with this new sharper blade, one. Number two, we don't have to shuffle really far distances. Usually when we're shuffling, they're really short chop shuffles, right? So it's not like I'm shuffling one side of the crease all the way to the other side of the crease. Maybe I'm following a puck down and I'm shuffling 3, 4, 5 feet. Maybe I'm following a puck across for a second and I'm only shuffling 3, 4, 5 feet again. If there's a big movement across, a lot of times it's just going to be a T-push. We don't shuffle really far distances. So I think what's gained, which is being able to push and stop as well as you would like, is more than worth what I guess some people may consider a loss or a disadvantage, which is not being able to shuffle as easily. Although, like I said, I feel like the shuffle is just as good with a sharper skate blade. Now, a few things to consider when we're talking about what I like with my sharpening. That's my opinion. That's number one, is that's my opinion, and that's what I like with my sharpening. I like to feel a lot of bite and like I have a lot of grip. Other goalies may not like that. They may want to feel like they can scrape across the top of the ice much easier. They can shuffle easier. When I stop, I want to stop right where I am. I want to stop on a dime, and I want it to snap me into my stance. Some goalies, when they stop, they might want to have a little drift and not bite in as well, or have the skate blade bite in and stop them as hard as it would with a sharper sharpening. So it's all about feel. It's a lot of personal preference. Keep in mind, I also weigh 225 pounds. So I have to move 225 pounds plus goalie gear all around the net. So again, I need a sharp blade to try to move that weight the way I would like to. Now, if you weigh less, you may need you may need a duller blade to move just as fast, because you don't have to stop momentum of the same amount of weight. But keep in mind, I also have 225 pounds on that blade digging in. So if you don't weigh as much with a duller blade, it may also be harder to push. So just think about that in terms of momentum, weight, pushing. I mean, I don't want to overcomplicate this. I wouldn't think too far into it. That's just a consideration when I'm talking about how I like my skates to feel and why I like them sharpened a certain way. Another thing to think about is that not all sharpenings are going to feel the same on every sheet of ice. Some ice is really hard, some ice sheets are really soft. So if you're playing, if you may want to change your sharpening, or you may want to get your sharpening calibrated to the type of ice that you're playing on. So if maybe you play men's league and you play on really soft ice all the time, with softer ice, you're going to want a duller blade, because you're going to be able to dig in easier and you won't get stuck or feel as stuck as you would with a sharper blade when you're trying to stop or shuffle, let's say. If you're playing on hard ice all the time, then you want a sharper blade, because you need that sharpness to dig in and push. Now, again, don't overthink and don't overcomplicate it. I wouldn't think about that too much. It's just another consideration. I would go with what you feel generally comfortable on in terms of your sharpness with almost every rink you play on. So if you play on a bunch of different rinks and you generally feel comfortable with 3/8, or you generally feel comfortable with 5/8, just sharpen them at 5/8 and don't try to figure out what kind of ice you're going to be playing on all the time. Again, that's just another consideration. I actually had an NHL goalie who's now retired one time tell me that even in the NHL, when they would go to different buildings, the ice would be a little bit different. It may be softer, it may be harder. And their equipment manager would actually tweak the sharpness of their skates so that they felt the same in every building they were playing in. That's a nice luxury to have, but obviously one that's not available to most of us. So just go with what you feel generally comfortable with on almost all ice sheets that you skate on. Now, if I had to pick a recommendation for one sharpening that I recommend, it would be 3/8. I recommend 3/8 for basically everybody. Keep in mind that almost everybody uses a two-piece skate, and which means a plastic holder with a blade in it, and it's attached to a boot with rivets. So almost everybody wears two-piece skates. A lot of the skate blades nowadays are 3mm, which I'm not sure I agree with. I feel like you don't get as much grip, but again, I like grip. That's what I like to feel when I'm on the ice. Taking all that into consideration, a general recommendation that I recommend is a 3/8 skate sharpening. And it's kind of funny nowadays, like even some defensemen I know that I'm friends with that play in the AHL, they get their skates sharpened at 7/8, and that to me is just crazy. And I'm like, can you guys stop? Can you cut back? Can you turn? And they're like, yeah, it makes it all feels good, and you can stay with forwards when they cut back on you in the corner and stuff. So almost interestingly enough, it's like now the players are going with duller skate blades and the goalies are going with sharper skate blades. And for the goalie side, it makes sense. On the player side, I don't know exactly how that works, but to me, 7/8, even as a defenseman, I think would feel uncomfortable. Comment down below what skate sharpening you use and why. What do you like to feel on your skates when you're on the ice, and how does that determine what hollow you get your skates sharpened at? And if you have any questions on skate profiling or would like my thoughts on how I get my skates profiled, check out my most recent video here on my recommendation for skate profiling. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I hope this video helps.